Good morning, and we are live. I'm excited today. I'm really excited. We've got a guest planned for today. He seems to have a few technical difficulties. We're waiting for him to show up, see if he can get in. We may have to reschedule. I'm not sure. But Harry Dunn is supposed to be with us today. Super excited about that. A lot going on. So let's just dig right into it. Ladies and gentlemen, his time is incredibly valuable, so we won't waste any of it. The legendary Mr. Harry Dunn.
Texas Paul. I don't know about legendary, but thank you for having me on, my friend.
Oh, it is a true honor and privilege to have you here, sir. It really is, and I'm truly grateful. One of the things that let's just dive right into it. One of the things that I am getting so much today, these days from my audience is the desire to protest. And my friend, you know a little something about protest.
Yeah. No, definitely. No, I get it. I get it. I served as a Capitol Police officer for a short of 16 years, and that's one of my biggest day-to-day functions was seeing protests at the Capitol for any and every reason, whether it would be healthcare, abortion, 24-hour Bible readings, the Million Man March, March for Life, the right for infant circumcision. I mean, you name it. It was any and everything that people would come up to the Capitol and peacefully protest. Hell, the KKK came to the Capitol. Like people have the right. Like, you shake your head. Yeah, absolutely. I shake my head at it. But everybody had the right to peacefully protest, and the key word is peacefully. One of the things that I guess everybody knows who I am is because of that. A peaceful protest was not a peaceful protest on January the 6th. It was a riot. It was an attempted insurrection. And I'm all for protesting, but it's a right and a wrong way to do it.
Yeah, I'm with you 100%. And that is the thing that's got me most concerned. I've been encouraging people to engage in economic protest because it's far less likely to get out of hand. It's far less dangerous. But let's be honest, things are gone off the rails enough that people are going to take to the streets over this.
Yeah.
Here's my concern. We've got and Harry, if I could take just a second to brag, we have an incredible audience here. We do. They're starting to file in. We're a little over 1,000 now. There'll be 4,000 or 5,000 people in here before we're done. We have a global audience, literally global. You'll see people here from the Netherlands, all over Europe, Africa, Australia. They'll be chiming in the chat. They tend to be above average. They tend to be professionals. It's a good crowd. I mean, it's a good crowd.
Yeah.
It's a good community we built here. What worries me is because I really do care. I mean, this is not something I don't like to see people get into bad situations. Well, look, this is a perfect example of what really scares me about protesting. You'll remember this with the George Floyd protests. You had this guy show up. Umbrella Man showed up, started actually started the first fire.
Yep.
He was a member of the Aryan Cowboys.
Yeah.
He was a white supremacist intentionally there to cause violence to escalate.
Yep.
And that really was. And there's another one here. This one will probably hit home with you because we had a boogaloo boy from down here in Texas firing rounds into a police station. His name was Ivan Hunter. He was a member of the Boogaloo Boys. Again, white supremacy movement up there. He wasn't up there because he was anti-cops. He was up there to try to escalate the violence.
Yeah.
And that's what worries me is, what can people do to be aware? What can people do to, you know where I'm going?
Yeah. So listen, there are always going to be bad actors that always try to attach themselves to larger movements. I mean, I see it even something as simple as, just if you use any of the social media posts before Twitter was a cesspool, Blue Sky, anything, anywhere you see somebody that has a lot of momentum or supporters or followers or engagement, there's going to be somebody that, even like on social media, somebody will drop their content or what they want people to see in there and just try to like spam it. So even like that's very prevalent even on social media. So if a movement action is getting a lot of traction, is getting a lot of people, then of course you're gonna that creates an environment where instigators will come and show up, and only for their selfish not political gain, but only for their selfish reasons, where they want to instigate and, like you said, disrupt, cause violence, incite that violence, when majority of the crowd is not there for that. Like BLM, Black Lives Matter, and George, all that stuff. Those people, for the most part, they were peaceful protests. Now there were some that did, and this goes to your second part of your question. What can you do to be aware of it? When you see that type of violence or people, bad actors in those crowds, in those spaces, you have to call them out. You have to separate yourself from them, because when police officers show up, they can't tell who is who. And, it's unfortunate until after the fact. You get there, you cause peace, you bring a situation to a peaceful resolution, and then you sort it all out. But you have to immediately call it out, separate yourself from those bad actors, which will always, unfortunately, continue to show up.
And you brought up a great point about police officers don't know. They can't read minds. They don't know what's going on. There's an inverse to that. Officer Michael Byrd, who will always be a hero as far as I'm concerned.
Yeah.
That crowd did not know they had reached that line. They did not. You have no idea if you're out protesting and those police officers are on a line and they say, no, this is it. You do not cross here. You have no way of reading their minds and knowing what's behind them. Yeah. What is it? Have you reached that point that you've got a mayor or some other VIP or injured officers being triaged in this building? You will go no farther. Just listen. No means no. No means no. No means no.
I'm glad that you brought that up, because let me tell you something about the thing with Ashley Babbitt, or like you just said, Michael Byrd. Everybody just sees that video where somebody's crawling through a window or whatever at the Capitol. Let's be clear and bring up a point that is missed a lot. Those individuals that were in that space had already breached 4 to 5 different police lines. That was the absolute last line. So whether people would say, oh, there were people that were unarmed, they were this, they were that, they had already breached 4 or 5 different police lines. So it wasn't like, hey, you just walk up to the Capitol and you're magically in the chamber. No, there are so many different other areas and supposed checkpoint security places that you're supposed to go through. Even once you've cleared initial security in the building, there are already like 2 or 3 different layers in the Capitol to get to the galleries and such, or to the floor, let alone the chamber. So I'm glad that you brought that up. It wasn't just somebody just walking into the chamber. They had already breached, not peacefully entered into, but breached 4 or 5 different layers of security that day.
Well, I will tell you, there's no way for me to communicate to you how much respect and gratefulness I carry in my heart. I mean, I was in DC not too long ago. Every time I walk up to that building.
Yeah.
You can't explain that. The
feeling.
majesty is the only word I can think of. You cannot explain what that building does to you. You can't. And then I see the officers there, and it actually broke my heart a little bit, because I walked up to several of them and thanked them, because just, well, we'll talk more about it, but just being grateful, just to say thank you. And so many of them said, not what I expected to come out of your mouth. People that look like you don't usually say that to us. And I'm like, man, that broke my heart.
Yeah.
It did. It did, because I don't know. Maybe you can articulate it better than me, but the way y'all stood your ground, you did not escalate. There were guns in that crowd. Yeah. You had already had intel to know there were weapons in that crowd.
Yeah.
The literal beating that so many officers took and shrugged off just to maintain peace. Yeah. I don't have the words.
I just don't. I appreciate it. And, it's funny that they, some officers said that, we're all humans, like even like a unconscious or subconscious bias that we have just by looking at people. I mean, hell, I get it. Even now when I walk out and I'm traveling across the country, or I see somebody in some cargo pants, or somebody with a shirt tucked in and an American flag on their shirt or something. It's like, wait a minute, where, you just have that. It's an unconscious bias, and it's really unfortunate that is, some of the world that we have to live in now. But I held that same reverence towards the Capitol building. It's just something about it that I marvel in. And I'm glad that you did. You gave me an opportunity to segue and do a shameless plug for my book. When you said
Please.
The Capitol Police Officers, they stood their ground. That's actually the name of the book that I wrote. It's called Standing My Ground, A Capitol Police Officer's Fight for Accountability and Good Trouble After January 6th. So I do talk about, obviously, what happened on January 6th and afterwards, and some of the struggles that we're going through in this country. So I did write a book about January 6th. So when you said standing their ground, I was like, wait, that's a perfect segue for me.
Perfect segue. Yeah. I have not read your book yet. I will get it. I'm looking forward to reading it.
I would love to send you a copy. I'll send you a signed copy. I want
that would be incredible.
Only thing is you have to put it on your bookshelf in the background behind you.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I am more than happy to promote it. I am, because not only do we have January 6th, which moments make men. They do. Moments make men. They do. But you also, and this is to me, because politics is my game. I've worked with many campaigns. I know what it takes to actually stand up and put your name on that ballot. That is not an easy decision. It is not, especially for someone who is a good and decent person. There are a lot of narcissists that are like, gimme anything I can get. For them, yeah, no problem. But for good and decent men like you to put your name on the ballot, that's not easy, my friend. And I got to tell you, this makes me proud. This makes me proud. That makes me proud. That is a great picture, my friend. It really is. That makes me proud. But I will tell you, this actually fills me with more pride, because I understand what it takes to get out there, hit the streets, knock on doors, talk to people, and ask people, look them dead in the eye and ask people, support me. I want to be your leader. I want to do the job. That is difficult, my friend. And I admire you so much for it.
Well, thank you. I appreciate it. I'll talk a little bit about, my decision to run for Congress and everything like that. And why would we want to go back? You say moments make men. But I'll tell you one thing. I agree with that, but I also believe it moments give sunshine or give light to the type of person that you are already. A lot of my friends that have known me way before January 6th, say, Harry, you were made for this moment, because it's the things that I do before January 6th, like and after, like it. Sure, this is who I was, but it's just meeting the moment and standing up for the fight. Now, I stayed on the force 3 years after January 6th. I continued to serve even Republican members of Congress who would go on right right wing media shows and criticize the Capitol Police, criticize me personally for speaking out, and then they would come back to work the next day and see me greeting them there at the front door with a smile, just to make sure that the seat of our democracy, the foot of it is safe. You know, I wasn't protecting a person in AOC or Chuck Schumer or Nancy Pelosi or Marjorie Taylor Greene or Lauren Boebert or Mike Johnson. Like we were protecting an institution. We protected all of them equally. So it wasn't like, you know, oh, they're only here for the Democrats. They're only there for the liberals. No, we protected those members just as much as we protected any other one. What with the final breaking point, which I decided to run for Congress. Well, first of all, there was an opportunity. There was an open seat. A congressman said that he's not running for office, so that created an opportunity. And then I said, you know what? I'm very solutions oriented. I don't like to just, you know, just sit around and just bitch on Twitter or Blue
Mm-hmm.
Sky or I get it. All right, what can I do? I actually believe that I can do something. So I ran for Congress. And also another thing, I will address people say that, oh, this guy is a grifter. This is just things that I've seen on right
Oh,
wing
that annoys the
people.
shit out of me.
It does. But people don't realize I quit my job. I quit. I didn't retire. I didn't resign. I quit. I quit 4 years short of being able to collect the full pension. After 16 years of service, I needed 20 for a full pension. So who in their right mind, you know, was going to make that type of decision? I stepped out on faith and I stepped out that I know that, hey, this is right, this is worth doing. And I ran for Congress. And I ran for Congress just to continue my public service as a continuance of my public service on January 6th and before to save this country, to do my part, because I can't do it alone. So I don't say I'm going to save the country, to do my part to continue to protect this democracy, to save our country. And that's why I ended up running for Congress. Now, I lost. I came in second place out of 22 candidates.
Let me pause you for just a second there, my friend.
Okay.
I knew that you were going to say that. I was ready for you to say that. Let me tell you something. I have been around politics for a long time. You ran against Sarah Elfreth.
Yeah.
She was a state senator. She was ingrained in the party and popular.
Yeah.
And you became within a hair's on your first run. You came within a hair of beating a well-established, well-liked, well-funded, and let's face it, Sarah, she's a good communicator. She
Absolutely.
is. I mean, you took on a freaking heavyweight, my friend. You did. And you did great.
Yeah.
I really hope this was not your last run because you had to learn so much. I'm sorry for interrupting you.
No, that's fine. No, I appreciate it. I'm glad you did because it gives me an opportunity to acknowledge Sarah Elfreth. You know, everybody thought it was like contentious and everything. No, you know, listen, we each had our own reasons for running. And you know, after I lost in the primary, I immediately endorsed her and told her anything you need. Let's, you know, I'm behind you. Let's win this. Like because we all want the same thing. We all want the same thing. We just have different ways about going to go to get it, to obtain it. So immediately after you know, the loss, I said, all right, solutions oriented. What now? What do I do? I started a PAC, Harry Dunn's Democracy Defenders. So that's one of the things that I did. And I used that PAC to support other candidates that were running. Where do we donate to? So that's what I'm talking about. My PAC now, it's called Harry Dunn's Democracy Defenders. And I said, let's use this PAC to support candidates all across the country. I think I supported 9 Senate candidates and about 8 to 10 House candidates in their races. And a lot of them were able to win their races. And I became a surrogate immediately for then Joe Biden and then Kamala Harris. I think I hit every swing state at least 2 times. Hell, even right now, there's an election on April the 1st in Wisconsin. I've been to Wisconsin, not protesting against, advocating against Bradley Schimmel in Wisconsin. And I'll just tell you one thing about that race. And see, Luke, we can just talk forever, Paul, but it's just so
You
much.
are welcome to as much time as you'd like, my friend.
Thank you. But the thing about that race there, Elon Musk is dumping millions of dollars into a state Supreme Court race. Now, tell me why would Elon Musk be entering into a race? And also, anything that Elon Musk is supporting, then we must automatically think, oh, this isn't good. One of the reasons why I'm out in Wisconsin, I've been, like I said, 3 times since the beginning of this year already, and I think that it's important. Wisconsin is one of those battleground states, and you know that. I don't have to tell you that. And also, but Wisconsin also often will set the tone for what things look like nationally. We saw that in Kansas when after the Roe v. Wade was overturned in the Supreme Court. Kansas was one of the first states that have an election on Roe, and it showed out that 70% of the people in Kansas rejected what the Supreme Court did. So, so I think that's why it's important, and that's why I'm still involved in this political fight. I'm doing a lot of just talking and messaging, and working to find my next footprint and what I'm going to do next. I don't think that my next job I'm going to find on LinkedIn somewhere. But I will answer your question, Paul. You did say, I hope this isn't the last time you run, and I saw a couple of people said that in the comments. You know what? I did learn a lot, and I haven't ruled out running again. My main thing is I don't do it for ego. I'm not doing it for title. I'm doing it to make a difference and to be helpful. So wherever that looks like, if there's a real opportunity for me to get in there and make a difference and to fight and be helpful, then I'll do it for that time period. But we'll just see how it goes. So I haven't ruled out running again. It just has to make sense and be the right fit.
Well, I appreciate everything you're doing up in Wisconsin. That people don't realize that special election coming up in less than a month is crucial. That Supreme Court election I can't explain to you how vital that is. The Republicans use those Supreme Courts in those states to pipeline to specific justices they want horrific legislation, and having the liberals take control of that Supreme Court was huge. The last election was the most expensive, the most funded. Republicans threw everything, the kitchen sink, the bank vault, everything they could at that election because they know how vital it is. And I am super grateful that you are out there speaking up on that particular, because everybody's laser focused on Florida, because the razor thin margins in the House. But that Supreme Court election in Wisconsin is incredibly vital.
I'm glad that you said that you mentioned Florida too, because there's a lot going on right now. And yesterday I had the privilege of listening to the new DNC chair, Ken Martin. He spoke at the DNC in Washington, D.C., and I just attended. And I was really impressed by what he did. He acknowledged that, hey, we have some work to do in the Democratic Party, and not just as far as regaining power, but as far as how we operate, what we do. I know a lot of people are in the Democrats are upset about, hey, all I'm getting is, hey, send me money, send me money, send me money, send me money. So Ken Martin said this yesterday. He said this, and he's speaking to a bunch of DNC members, and also people that registered to just show up. And he said what he's going to start instructing his team to do is change the ask. Okay, if you can't give money, give me your efforts, give me your time, give me your actions. So there's always something that we can do, even if you can't donate money. Okay, jump on a phone bank, write a postcard, register your neighbor to vote, educate people on the issues. So there's always something that we can do. So change the ask is one of the most important things that I took away from that meeting with Ken Martin yesterday. I really think that he's going to do good things. It's a damn tough uphill battle that he's facing, that we're facing. But one of the things is I think that Republicans are doing such a bad job right now, but we don't want to win this election because the Republicans are doing bad. We want to win the election because we are doing better. Democrats are doing better. So yes, I let's not just wait on somebody to do bad. Like I played football. I played football in James Madison University. I was a national champion. I played in the Canadian Football League. So I didn't initially start. I wasn't a starter. So I didn't just want my the person that was ahead of me to get injured. I don't want to be starting by default. I want to start because I'm better than him. So I worked my ass off and I became a starter. So I think that's the same kind of messaging here, that we want to be better than them. And let me tell you this, he made another good point. Think of all the national referendums that are going around on the state level, even if it's simple as legalizing marijuana, raising the minimum wage, gun rights, abortion. All of these things are passing by amazing margins in state referendums. Every single red states, blue states, purple states, all of these things are passing. But those are all the things the Democrats want to do nationally. So why can't Democrats nationally get that message? So Republicans aren't they aren't supporting what most of Americans want nationally. They're not doing it because look at all those issues. Look at what anytime marijuana has been on the ballot, or gun rights, or gun reform, police reform, all of abortion. Look at all those states that those have been referendums on, just statewide. And then look at why aren't we doing it in Congress then? So that's messaging that they got. I say they, I'm a liberal ass Democrat, and we need to make sure that. But I'm also a common sense Democrat too, and I can, like I said,
Me too.
I'm doing a little rambling, but I like Adam Kinzinger, really good friend of mine. He identifies as a Republican, but me and Adam actually sit down and talk. We're friends over beers, and we'll drink, and we like, yo, we got a lot in common, dude. Like, are we really even that different? Like it's so much more that makes us the same than it does makes us different. So
I think a couple of things that have we Democrats behind the eight ball is that we missed the culture wars. We did. We went very high-minded. We went, well, let me tell you about my policies, and when they were calling us every name in the book, and the whole when they go low, we go high. I love Michelle Obama. I do. Sure. But I will tell you, I disagree with her so wholeheartedly.
When it comes to that, I agree.
When they say we go, when they go low, we go high. I go, no. I grab my fact bat and jump in that ditch, and I get to work. I mean, that's I don't believe in that high road stuff. I don't.
Yeah. But I used to.
But that's for me. Yeah. That's for me. That's not for the party. That's not what I want out of Hakeem Jeffries. That's not what I want. And a lot of people are really discouraged because they're not seeing, they'll see me get hot. They'll see you get hot. They'll see us talk bluntly and plainly, but then they see the party leadership and they're not. And I explained this in the last show. I explained it to everyone that listens. Sun Tzu, The Art of War. When your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt him. The Democratic leadership right now does not, because there's little they can do. I was very surprised at the number of people that really did not have a firm grasp of civics and didn't know what the Democrats not being in power would mean. But while this situation exists, don't make the story about you.
Yeah.
Don't inject that in the space. They're going to screw up so bad, and they are screwing up monumentally. Let them do it. Here's some rope. Enjoy.
Yeah. I'm glad that you brought that up. So that brings up two things that I want to say. So last night I posted, let's stop giving Doge all the credit for what's hurting this country right now. Congress controls the purse. Congress controls funding levels. Congress controls funding. Let's give and Congress is controlled by Republicans. So let's give the Republicans all the credit in the world for what they're doing, the firing of government workers. It's not Doge, for the dismantling of USAID, for the dismantling of the Department of Education. Let's give Republicans all the credit for that. Let them own that. Like you just said, when they are shooting themselves in the foot, let them. Especially, they don't want our help. And that leads me to another part where you're talking about the civics lessons. Yeah, there are a lot of people that don't understand. I see so many impeach Donald Trump or arrest Elon Musk. Or none of that is going to happen. Zero. There is no way in hell that can happen, because who controls that? The Republicans. The Republicans can't even. They won't do anything to make Donald Trump look bad. So we are on our own for the at least the next 2 years right now.
They're a eunuch party. They really are a eunuch party. They have been completely, they're going to sit and watch. I'm sorry, I didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're fine. No, but you're 100% right. We are on our own, and I think that what people need to. Okay, I like to use like metaphors and like try to create visuals. Think of this: we were on a boat. We're on Gilligan's Island, and everybody remember Gilligan's Island. The boat went down, and we are in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean, and we are treading waters for the next 2 years. The Coast Guard isn't looking for us. The Navy isn't looking for us. They don't even know we're there. We are treading water. We are not going to pass any meaningful legislation. That Roe v. Wade will not be codified into national law. There will not be gun rights. There will not be any. There could be 10 school shootings in a day, and they will not do anything. They will not do it, and it's not going to happen. So let's set our expectations realistically first. That's the first thing we need to do. Elon Musk is not getting arrested. Donald Trump is not going to jail. Like, none of that is going to happen. There are going to be no investigations against any Republicans during these next 2 years, at minimum, at very minimum. So what we need to do, acknowledge that. Now, I agree with what you said about how the message, it's not about going low, like we go high. All that shit about decorum is out the window. That when we have a president that does not respect anybody except people that kiss his ass, then why should we respect him? Like, listen, I'm all for respecting the office, but he desecrated on it. He shitted on that office the day, well, even before. But for me, when he sent a mob to attack me and my coworkers, that told me you only give a damn about yourself, and you'll do whatever it takes to keep yourself in power. So that was my red line. I mean, there were already hundreds of red lines even before that, but that was just it. And I feel so let down, if I can be very candid with you all for a minute and everybody listening. The American people let me down. Personally, y'all let me down. And I'm not preaching to the choir. There are a lot of people in here right now that, but when the American people either did not show up for the election or they did not vote against Donald Trump, I think we have to stop referring to America as this nation that will reject fascism, that will reject hate, that will reject racism, bigotry. We are not a nation that will reject that, because we had our opportunity to, and we failed that test. Now, I aspire for us to be a nation that does all of those things, which is why I haven't gone away even after these 4 years, because we deserve so much better. And I will continue to fight for that and talk with you. And I'm thankful for this platform right now that you're giving me, Paul, and everybody out there listening. But we have to continue to fight. We can't give up. Listen, I get a lot of people are scared and afraid right now. I mean, that's what they want. They want you to shut up. They want you to just sit back and take it. They just want to overpower you and just force you into submission and where you don't have anything left. But that's when we need to stand up the most. So let's not get scared. Let's not get complacent, and let's just continue to fight. So go ahead. Sorry.
The 2025 project was actually specifically designed to create that feeling, because they knew if they did everything via executive order, it would take challenges in the courts. And these things would exist for months, weeks to months, to even a year or more. Some of these actions will exist in our minds unchallenged, because they have to work their way through the court system. That was by design that they did that. What wasn't in the 2025 project was governing. There was nothing about governing. But the resistance, the people fighting back, the poor poll numbers, people protesting, it's working. This just happened yesterday. Donald Trump is not really suffering those low poll numbers very well. He's just slapped a leash on Elon Musk. He held a cabinet meeting himself with Elon Musk sitting there on the side, and he told every one of his cabinet members, "You run your department. Elon Musk does not run your department. He can make suggestions to you, but you are responsible and you run the department." So this negative backlash that Elon Musk is causing, the low poll numbers, Republicans in Congress that are privately screaming their heads off, "You're killing us," with this chaos and nonsense, is actually having an effect. And boy, howdy, April 1st, these elections will be huge.
Yeah.
Even, Tallahassee is as red gets. It
Yeah.
is.
Yeah.
It is literally one of the reddest places in the country. If we even just move the needle, much less win. Oh my God. If we can push that one over the line and win that election,
Yeah.
oh, you will see the Republicans in Congress wake the hell up overnight. There will suddenly be hearings. There will suddenly be, you know what I'm saying?
Absolutely. And you know what? The thing about special elections, and this is our time right now to actually do something. We don't have to wait until 2026 to have our voices heard. Thing about special elections, they are generally speaking, historically, the lowest turnout elections of all time. Like they are the lowest turnout elections. So people that actually vote in special elections are people that actually have something to gain or lose from that, not just middle of the road, just whatever status quo kind of thing. So I encourage everybody to get out there and do something. There's a lot of different organizations where you can find out. MoveOn.org, I think, is one. Mobilize.us is another one that you can find out about the ways that you can help in different places, what's going on. I think I'm gonna mess up these numbers, but I think Chair Martin said yesterday there are 2,644 counties in this country, and more than a quarter of them have no Democratic representation in them. More than a quarter, and we should have, it should be zero. Even if you are, like I said, a blue dot in a red state, we need to continue to support each other and support those people there. So let's always try to make our voices heard. There's always, and I had this saying, and I made it up off the cuff. I was like, until there's nothing that can be done, there's always something that can be done. We are at a time in our country, we are at a time in history right now where we need a lot of somebodies to do their some things. So find out something that you're very passionate about, that you care about. There's a million things going on. We can't fight one person can't fight every single one. So find one thing, whether that's LGBTQ plus rights, or whether that's racism, or whether that's AAPI hate, or whether it's gun rights or reproductive freedoms for women. Find something, lock in on that, and give all your energy to that. And if all of us do that about the things that we're passionate about, I think we'll be a lot more successful than all of us trying to put every damn fire out all at once.
Well, this is why I tell people, the first thing, they're like, what can I do? I get it a lot. Texas Paul, what can I do? They're very upset about what's going on. I get that. And the first thing I always tell people, your county Democratic Party. Yeah. Get involved there first, because there are so many parties. And I will get an email back that says, I tried to get involved, but they're just not active. I live in a red area. They're not active. I'm like, exactly. That is exactly what has to change, because people don't understand. They're like, they don't, first of all, the first political thing they don't understand is they think both parties are the same. They're not. Yeah. One party is a leopard. The other one is a zebra. You're asking a party why is the party that's a zebra not climbing the tree? Yeah. It's a different party. It does different things. The other thing is, they're like, well, all we need is a couple good Republicans that agree with us. And as you're saying, there just isn't that much difference between us when we start talking issue to issue. Yeah. It would be easy morally for a couple of Republicans to say, this is horrible. Because there are, behind the scenes, there are, not all of them, not even a lot of them, but there are some that are like, this is freaking horrible. I don't want any part of this. But they live in a district where the Democratic Party is non-existent. So if they do change parties, they're resigning, is what they're doing. Yeah. So you have to get out and you have to get involved so that those people in those red areas understand, oh, wow, I got an army behind me. If I want to switch parties, I got an active Democratic Party here that will put my signs out, that they will talk to people. They will get out on and put where the rubber, you went through an election, man. You know how much that party apparatus is rough when it's working and oiling. It is difficult to overcome. And that's why I tell people that's a great place to start. It's 1 month, 1 week a month, or 1 day a month, 2 days a month. You go, you network, get involved there, start there.
I agree 100%. And listen, a lot of states already have, well-run machines, but a lot don't. And you know what? It may be your opportunity to say, this is what we are going to do. We are going to, you know what? There's no Democratic Party here. Well, I'm doing it. Reach out to and let's just, it's going to take work. It's going to take work. And I know we all would love an opportunity where we just fall into a perfect situation. Like, unfortunately, there's not a lot of perfect situations out there, and it's going to take some work. And it's going to take people that are willing to help and people that are willing to put in the work. I wish there was an easy way to do it. It isn't. There's no magic protest that's going to get us out of this moment that we're in right now. It's not going to take any legislation. It's no law. It's nothing. The only thing that's going to get us out of where we are now is moral courage, moral strength, the resolve, the resilience to not. It's been 4 years and I'm still fucking here. Like, I'm still shouting from the rooftop. I wish that I wasn't. Like, it drives me crazy. I wish that I wasn't. I wish that I knew where my next paycheck was coming from. I wish that I knew that I have a retirement plan already set up. I don't. But hell, I don't even know if we're going to have a fucking sorry, I'm getting all fired up now. I don't even know if we're going to have a damn democracy or an election in 4 years. So that's what the hell I'm fighting on, and the rest of it will figure itself out. Now, I'm not asking everybody to quit their jobs and run for Congress like I did. Like, that's insane. Who in their hell in their right mind goes in and willfully joins Congress? You have to be insane to do it. But it takes some people to stand up. And I listen, I appreciate, I've been reading the comments, and I thank you for a lot of people's just support and just words of encouragement. Listen, they mean a lot to me. And I'll tell you, and just to be even more candid with you, it's hard. It's hard being in this space right now. It's hard. And there have been so many off ramps that I've thought about taking. They said, hey, this is enough. I'm done. I've did my part. Everybody else, it's time for you all to do yours. It's been so many off ramps that I could have taken. I didn't. I'll open up Twitter, and I can guarantee you at least once a week, there's a message from any random person in there that'll say, you need to go to jail for treason. Trump needs you. Trump, you should be hanging. You should be swinging from a rope. You know how many messages I get like that, and that's just on Tuesday. So I appreciate all the support that gets people. Like, I feel like I would be doing this, and I feel like you, Texas Paul, I think you would do the same thing, even if it was just you and this room was empty. If this room was empty, this chat was empty, you would still be talking because you believe that it's right. And I feel like I am the same. I would be doing the exact same thing, even if this room was empty. But you all in those comments, it makes me feel like what I'm doing is worth it. And it gives me a little bit of motivation. So I see the support. I see the thank yous. I see we stand by. I thank you. It means so much to me. And I'd be very remiss if I didn't acknowledge that.
Well, look, I know your time is valuable. I know you've got things to do. So I really want to let's take the politics hat off for a second. And I want you to put your police officer's hat back on for just a minute. These protests really have me worried. They do. Yeah. They do. Because anything that goes, you've seen it. We saw it with the BLM protests. 99.99% peaceful. People just saying, hey, I'm here. Stop working against me. Stop over policing my community. Stop, with the disparate rules. Nothing inflammatory. Nothing at all. Yeah. But you had a small portion that got out of line. Mm-hmm. And the right-wing media and the corporate media, that's what gets eyes on the screen, man. And that's the message they wanted. So next thing you know, the entire march, the entire movement was everything. What I've told people is phones out. Always. Phones out. Record everything. You see someone acting a fool, boom, start recording. You know, what as a police officer, you're on the other side of that line now.
Yeah.
Explain to people what you're seeing and what you want out of these crowds when you're a police officer. And it is time. You know, you got the old school, gray haired, been through it all police officer that's been seen it all and has said, okay, now it's time. We've got to, you know, what do you want out of these crowds?
Yeah. So the first thing when you join these protests, find out what their goal is, what their objective is. Is it to just let your voice be heard? Is it to disrupt? Is it to shut down a city's intersections? Is it because there's so many things? What is your overall goal? Do you just like if people march to the Capitol on Saturdays? So it obviously isn't to be heard because Congress is not in session on the weekends. So there's nobody, they're screaming at an empty building. So find out what your cause is first. What do you want this to accomplish? Do you just want eyes on you? Do you want to be, or do you just want to like be around like-minded people who just want to scream and vent? All of that's valid. All of that's valid. But identify what the goal is of this protest first and foremost. And then once you're there, once you're realizing, hey, is this being effective? Is this, are we being effective right now? When it comes to meeting your goal of it. So that's first and foremost before you even march or before you even join a protest. Secondly, direct your anger, not well, unless it is police is, I think is definitely valid. Like, I mean, we got times where people came up protesting the police and I got called every damn name in the book. I absolutely did. It was, you know, they cussed me out like this and that. And it wasn't, but I get it. But also we have to realize that humans, they're humans, not police. And this, I'm not dismissing. Let's be 100% clear. I am not defending any actions of any bad police officer at all. Zero. Let's make that 100% clear. And if cops don't know how to deal with people under tough circumstances, then you shouldn't be a police officer. Period.
Look, my dad was a cop for a while. He was. Before he became a federal employee, he was a cop. And then he stayed with the reserve officers his entire career. He was always at heart a cop. He was. I have his service revolver to this day. One of the things that gets me is that people look at cops and they put cops at a standard. You know, if you had a warehouse, if you were running a warehouse, you would have people in that warehouse that were of all kinds. You would have the guy that knows what the hell he's doing. You'd have the savant that can operate a forklift like nothing you've ever seen and just makes your jaw drop. You would have, you know what I mean? And then you'd have the guy that you would never, ever, ever, ever tell where the keys to the forklift is. Police forces are exactly like that because they're filled with people. They're filled with people. And you're going to have people that are there at the protests that absolutely understand this is your right. They want to defend your right. But then you're going to have this asshole that on his off time is part of the white supremacist movements, or he's part of the, you know, you're going to have that guy standing right there and they're going to be standing right next to each other and they don't wear signs. They don't. So as a crowd, what I try to tell people is when the cops say no, stop.
You
know, I mean,
no, I get it. Listen, I get it. And a lot of times there are times where police, you know, abuse their wow, that's very nice. Thank you so much. Thank you, Samita. Man, listen, like, there's so many times where police do misuse their power and they are abusive. But the thing is, I always tell people when you have encounters with police, they are in charge in that moment. And makes the most important thing is going home to your family. Make it home to your family and then become solutions oriented. Then fight what happened, what injustice, whatever. Make it home to your family. Make it home to your family. We shouldn't even have to have this conversation, but you're not going to have a bigger ego than a police officer, especially in the front of the public. And it sucks that we even have to have that conversation. It sucks. And those type of police officers should not be police officers. but make it home to your family in these protests. Make it home to your family. Go home safe. Don't get pepper sprayed. Don't get beat with a baton. Don't get arrested. Now, I mean, there are times where you can get arrested. There was civil disobedience. I mean, hell,
One of my
the
heroes,
Capitol
John
Police,
Lewis.
we the Capitol Police arrested John Lewis. We arrested John Lewis. The Capitol Police did. He wanted to. That was his desire. But you know what? He didn't slap the hell out of a cop to get arrested. He stood there, and well, obviously he was a con. He made it arranged, whatever. It's but still, don't try. Go home. Get home to your family.
Sometimes there is, I used again, just understanding people. John Lewis is one of my heroes. He is. When he marched across, it was 55 degrees the day he marched across the Edmund Pettus Bridge.
Yeah.
If you see a picture of John Lewis, he's wearing a trench coat. It was cold. It was windy. They knew when they were marching to Birmingham, they knew that those police were waiting on the other side of the bridge. They walked across that bridge and they took a beating.
Absolutely.
They did. They didn't beat cops. They didn't. They went down. They covered their heads and they went down. Sometimes you just have to get in good trouble. You just do. That's what reality dictates. But for God's sake, don't go find trouble.
Don't find it. Now, like I said, I saw somebody put it like the body cameras and stuff. Document everything. Hell, we were told even when we were going to the academy, instead of like getting involved at times, hey, you know what they would say? They would say, be a good witness. So be a good witness. Go home. You're not going to win a fight with the police, like a physical fight. You're not going to. And it's like I said, it sucks. It sucks that we have to have, but I'm just trying to be very real, raw, and transparent with people. You are not going to win with the police. They're going to, yes, I saw somebody ask if they grab you, can you ask? Yes, you can ask, hey, am I being detained? Am I free to go? I feel like you should always ask that question. Am I free to go? If you're talking to a police officer and they stop you, they detain you, ask if you're free to go. Always ask that because they have to articulate whether if you're being detained, then you can't get out of that. Like they're allowed to detain you and do investigations. So don't try to fight and have this conversation. You're not going to win. Like you're not going to win. And even if they can make up. Not even make up. It's not making up.
No, they can.
No, they can. But when I was about to say something, but there are so many different reasons that a cop can articulate why they have this person detained. Even if it doesn't make any sense to you, it doesn't have to, because there are legal ways which they can prevent you from going anywhere. So always ask, am I free to go? Always ask that. But you are not going to win a confrontation with a police officer in public. Make it home to your family and win that bitch in court. Win that bitch in court. I'm always for hold police accountable. And if they're wrong, they need to be held accountable. But please make it home to your family. Make it home to your loved ones. Don't try to fight, especially in these protests. There are high stress levels for police and everybody there. Do not antagonize police. Don't do it.
This is what I told my grandson. My grandson is Mexican, and he does not look like Papa. He does not. He's very Mexican characteristics. And at 16 years old, I sat him down and had a talk with him because at 16 he looked 21. And you understand that people of different races, it's just a fact. As far as evidence is concerned, identify. This is why eyewitness testimony is so unreliable. White people cannot pick out black people. The features, I don't know why it doesn't register. It doesn't. Black people can't differentiate between white people, Asians, everything. It's the way it is. It's just the way it is. So I had to explain to my grandson, you are 16, but to anyone else on the side of the road at night when it's dark, you look 21. And you're big like me.
Yep.
You're big, which means people will naturally be intimidated when you get out of the car and you've got a chest and you know what I mean? You need to be yes, sir, no, sir. And I live in the middle of Klan Central. I do. I'm in deep East Texas. There are 3 white supremacy organizations within 10 minutes of my house. There are really prejudice is real where I live. And I had to explain to him, you may get a cop that at night wears a robe.
Mm-hmm.
You may.
You're 100%
You
right.
get home. Yes, sir. No, sir. That's it. You don't know. I mean, you get a cop that is a great cop, but he's chasing some guy that beat the crap out of his wife. He can't tell the difference between you from Adam because he's stone cold white hillbilly and you are Mexican. He doesn't know, but he knows that guy's armed.
Yeah.
And he's pulling you out of his car to make sure you're not him. He's already tuned up. Yes, sir. No, sir. Thank you, sir.
And the person is oblivious to what's going on, but the cop knows. So that's what I'm saying. Like, don't give. And also, I got to address one thing I've read in the comments. Somebody said wear a mask so they can listen. I'd be careful with that. There have been laws that have passed that say if you commit a crime and you have on a mask in the commission of that crime, it's an enhancement. It's an enhancement. So that's the thing. People don't even know that. People wore that mask and they didn't even know. But now you wearing that mask has added to the it took the level up. It took it to somewhere that it didn't need to go.
Well, again, put your cop hat on. You see, little old lady, old man, some guy that looks like me walking along. All of a sudden, then you see 20-something kid with a mask on. Where do your cop's eyes? Zip, that's him. That's the one right there. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But and folks, I'm not saying it's right. I'm not saying it's a good thing. It's not. I told my grandson, I will go scorched earth on them tomorrow. You get home safe today. Let Papa fight that fight tomorrow. Okay? I promise I will make that person's life hell if they disrespect you or they treat you poorly or whatever, but get home safe, please.
Yeah. That's the number one thing. And it sucks that that's the world that we have to live in. But get home safe, make it home to your families. And also one more thing, and I got to get out of here. This is great. I can talk to you all the time. But one of the things that Donald Trump is looking for a reason to declare martial law. He declares martial law, he'll never have to leave the White House. Never. Keep that in mind. Keep that in mind, folks. It's scary as it sounds. Donald Trump is looking for a reason to declare martial law. So he can actually declare the Insurrection Act and turn the military, not the National Guard, the military on citizens in the United States.
Absolutely.
This is scary. This is unprecedented times right now. But listen, we need everybody. We need everybody in this fight. We need everybody. And we need all the resistance.
This is why
all the help that we can find,
This is why I've been promoting economic boycotts.
Yeah. Yes.
They cannot fault you for closing your wallet. Mm-hmm. And it has worked over and over. Some of the most effective protests in our history. The Birmingham bus boycott. I mean, it's just one after the other in town after town. These protests are effective, and you don't have to go out. And like you said, you've got some bad actors, some Boogaloo Boy or some, one of these groups that was at the Capitol on January 6th, Oath Keepers or whatever, out there agitating, doing exactly what you're talking about, giving them the ammunition they need to declare martial law.
Yeah. So listen, I just want everybody to stay safe. I appreciate everybody listening to me and encouraging me. Well, one more plug for my book. Check it out. Standing My Ground. Capitol Police Officers Fight for.
You got a copy, man. Show them what it looks like so they can find it.
I don't have it with me right now, but I will pass it on to you. But no, I will send you one. I'm definitely going to send you one.
I appreciate it.
And just we need everybody in this fight. Listen, and this is how I end usually my talks, and I won't do it. I'll do it the same here. I hate when people tell people everything's going to be all right. I think it's a little disingenuous. I think it's dismissive at times. So I won't tell anybody that everything's going to be all right. I don't know if it is. I pray and that I hope that it is okay. But we're living in times now where I don't know if we're going to be okay. What I can promise you, what I will assure you, is that to my last dying breath, I'm going to do whatever I can to make sure that it will be okay. I promise you that. And I just want a lot of other people to join me and Texas Paul here to make sure that, thank you so much, that we are going to fight to make sure we okay.
Well, look, I will tell you this. 100%. I appreciate you being here. You have an open invitation. Anything that you're working on, anything you'd like to promote, I'm more than happy to do it. I love talking to you and very much enjoyed our conversation. Harry Dunn, everybody.
Thank you so much, y'all. I appreciate it. And y'all are the best. Enjoy. Thanks, Paul.
Man, what a great conversation. The legendary Harry Dunn. Outstanding. Glad to have him here. Glad to have his insights. 100% on the money. And I concur with what he was saying. I've never told you this. You people that have been around forever. I've never told you everything's going to be okay. I've told you we will clean the mess up, but there will be a mess because even a weak, feckless president, dumb president can do a lot of damage. So yeah, we'll fix it. We'll fix it. And it'll cost us time that we didn't have to lose. We shouldn't have done this. November we should not have done it. But a lot of people are waking up to the fact that, hey, Democrats have been out there fighting these fights. All the stuff they're trying to take away, Democrats have been fighting for with every budget negotiation, it didn't all stay in place on its own. Democracy doesn't stand on its own. We have to stand up for it. We do. So yeah, we're going to have messes to clean up, but clean it up we will. Let me give you a little something, a little schadenfreude to smile about, because not only did Elon Musk get leashed yesterday, because I'm telling you, folks, it's paying off. It is paying off, folks. Just your voices on social media, calling your Congress people, getting it done. It is paying off. Donald Trump, more than anything, he's a narcissist. He's got to be loved. He's a narcissist, and everybody hates what they're doing. And it's finally soaking in. And he told Elon Musk, Elon, you're not in charge. Elon, you're not in charge. People that run the departments are in charge. Unfortunately for us, that's really not much better. But enjoy this little bit of schadenfreude. This happened yesterday. Oh, God. I mean, can this guy do anything right? This is from Chris Jackson, by the way. Great follow on Blue Sky and Threads. We hung out together at the White House. Really good guy. Really good guy. I've actually drank a couple of beers with that guy. Yeah, this is...
I just saw that Starship blew up. There it is.
But again, I mean, it makes me smile, makes you smile, but it's also a problem, because here is the fallout from it. SpaceX Starship explosion delays Florida flights at Orlando and Miami airports. There's actually more than that. It was Miami, Orlando, Fort Lauderdale, Palm Beach International, and it didn't just cause delays. It actually caused flights coming in to be completely diverted. So yeah, it was a problem. It was a problem. I don't understand. I don't understand. I gave Elon Musk all the credit in the world when he first got started. I don't believe in kicking people in the teeth when they get started. I don't. But man, proof is in the pudding, and that guy just fails at everything he does. I mean, he just fails. He's exactly like Donald Trump. Promise the world, oh man, we're going to have boring machines and Hyperloop and brain implants, and we're going to go to Mars. And he fails at everything. His rockets keep blowing up. Imagine if that was NASA. I mean, we would be having hearings. We would be talking about, every Republican would be standing in this is Florida. This is a red state. This is a red state. They would be screaming at how NASA was a failure and costing people money and time and victimizing people. And how come they keep having rockets blowing up? We need to get to the bottom of this. Elon Musk, let's just give him some more contracts. I mean, let's give him some more contracts. Could you imagine for just a minute if it was NASA, and man, that's not the end of it. Now, there's just some really crazy crap going on. This is Donald Trump. We got the jobs number out yesterday. Unemployment went up because layoffs, but it doesn't even factor in the government layoffs yet. So, yeah. But the February jobs numbers came out. We had added 151,000 jobs. That's a loser, folks. That's tepid. That's what they call tepid, because you need 220,000 jobs added every month to keep up with the growth of the population. And we ain't doing it. The economy has been. I don't know what the Dow's doing today. Somebody let me know what the Dow's doing today. I expect it should be climbing today, because Trump, after again, folks, if they didn't think there was going to be elections, they wouldn't care. They wouldn't care. They wouldn't care that you're unhappy if there were really not going to be elections. They know they're going to pay a price for this at the polls, folks. They do. And so much so that they're doing stuff like this. They're actually telling us out loud in advance that they're going to start fudging the numbers. Economic growth is slowing, so Trump wants to redefine economic growth. And what they're talking about is this. Howard Lutnick, his commerce secretary, says he wants to change the formula for the way the government calculates our GDP. Yeah. I mean, if you can't do the job, just screw it, fudge the numbers, right? Every president has complained about the numbers, and every party out of power. Remember the Republicans? We have a great economy under Biden. All they kept saying is the numbers are fake. The numbers are fake. They're all fake. Well, now the numbers are too real. They're too real. They're too real. They got to change them. Every president complains about how the numbers are calculated. They do. It's just the way it is. Because you've got to own up to what the numbers are. Donald Trump doesn't have fealty to the independence of these organizations that report these numbers. And what they're saying they want to do is they want to not count the loss of government spending in GDP. We talked about Keynesian economics. We talked about how the government has a role to play in times of slowing the economy. The government spends more. But of course, the Republicans aren't going to do that, because they're hell-bent on spending less so they can give tax cuts to Johnny Got-Rocks. So they're exacerbating the situation. They're making it worse. So what do they want to do? They just want to not tell you how bad they're making it. And again, Donald Trump has no fealty at all to the independence of these offices. He wants to control them directly. He's been trying to fire people at each of these offices to try to allow him to put people in that are sycophants and will just fudge the numbers any way he wants. And it's dangerous. It is dangerous. It is beyond dangerous. And it just keeps getting worse. It just keeps getting worse. I mean, a couple of great articles here from Wired that you want to check out. First of all, the State Department kills the global air monitoring program that researchers say paid for itself. It more than paid for itself, actually, because it was a way to put economic pressure on China. See, if it's like us versus, say, India. If India doesn't force any of its companies to not pollute and never holds them accountable for polluting, well, they've got a financial advantage over companies here. They just do. Well, that program leveled out the playing fields. It said, okay, you want to dirty the environment? Well, we're going to put a little surcharge on you for dirtying the economy or dirtying the environment to even up that playing field. Gone. It's just gone. They're not going to track the numbers anymore. They're not going to, none of it. And it just keeps getting worse. This happened. Just Republicans can't govern. And I want to run through a couple quick hits of things that are going on so that you're aware of them, because these are going to grow into much larger stories. The GSA now has a Trump sycophant running the government. They're responsible for managing government properties and contracting and et cetera. Apparently everything's for sale now. And you are reading that right. The General Services Administration plans to sell hundreds of government buildings, including FBI headquarters, the Justice Department's building. And that's not it. I mean, because you have to understand, 80% of the federal government isn't in DC. It's not. The federal government does things nationwide, and they've got offices all over the place. And of course, the GSA just prints this list because it's all of these departments are now run by Beavis and Butthead. They're idiots. They're morons. They don't understand that if, say, I don't know, if you're, the CIA, you probably don't want to go lease a building from someone else, because then you can't control access to the building. You can't control everything about the building. But if it's a government-owned building, you can control it all, set the rules of it all. You don't have a landlord that just decides to do an inspection and show up, doesn't tell you what you can and cannot do. I'm actually familiar with this building. They revealed the address of a CIA facility. Because they're going to sell it without talking to the CIA. They're just going to sell it so that, Donald Trump can buy it and be the government's landlord from now on and raise prices on it. Because, we've seen the way, private industry helps healthcare. They're just going to make everything more expensive. They're just going to make everything more expensive. And you're going to have these departments like the CIA at the whim of a landlord. Folks, this I know a little something about this particular building. There's a warehouse complex that the government owns. GSA uses it primarily as a supply warehouse. They store and ship things in and out of, a logistics supply warehouse. In that row of warehouses, it's a U-shaped little building, little small complex. It's exactly like the rest of the warehouses, just shaped a little different. Got a couple loading docks on it. The CIA uses it for a training facility. If they've got to, bug an office in Egypt, it's not the same as bugging an office in Brooklyn. The architecture's not the same. The wiring's not the same. The lighting fixtures are different. There's just more to it than saying, I know a guy that's an electrician. We could get him to go put a bug in. It doesn't work that way. They have to train people to be able to do things like this, to understand that we run on 110, other countries run on 220. So the CIA has a training facility to teach their spooks how to apply listening devices and communication devices. And it's an empty warehouse, so they can set up anything that they want wherever they have to train people. And this is the warehouse they do it in. Now everybody knows Because Beavis and Butthead are running GSA. Republicans can't govern. They are idiots. They are extreme idiots. Case in point, the Department of Defense. War heroes and military firsts are among 26,000 images flagged for removal in Pentagon's DEI purge. I really want to know. I'm looking for a journalist that's doing really good journalism on this, because it wasn't the Pentagon that did this search. It wasn't. Because people at the Pentagon know what this plane is. This is just one glaring example. They got rid of references to the Tuskegee Airmen. They got rid of references to female military officers. They got rid. But one of the photos that's flagged for removal is this one. It's a picture of a B-29 Superfortress called the Enola Gay. And I know you people know the significance of the Enola Gay. It was the first bomber to ever drop a nuclear bomb in combat. It dropped the bomb. It dropped Little Boy over Hiroshima. Enola Gay is Enola Gay Tibbetts. It's a woman's name. It is Paul Tibbetts, the pilot of the Enola Gay. It's his mother. Why did he name the plane the Enola Gay, which everybody thought was weird because it was kind of an odd name even then? Because Mom would always bring me home. Mom wouldn't let me die. So he named the plane the Enola Gay. Paul Tibbetts named it after Enola Gay Tibbetts. But Beavis and Butthead now run the Department of Defense, so it said gay, had the word gay in it. So they flagged it to be removed from the United States military's history database. There was a Army Corps of Engineers program. A lot of the lakes around here are Army Corps lakes. They work with Fish and Wildlife to keep track of fish populations. How healthy are fish populations? Where do we need to get more fryer baby fish? How much do we have to stock? Well, then that program was developed and references were made to it as part of their, all of these, they've got to make sales pitches to Congress. So they put these advertising packets together for you and me and for Congress. Well, the guy that ran the program's last name was Gay. His last name was Gay. So the Army Corps of Engineers fish monitoring wildlife program is being deleted from history because the guy's last name was Gay. Freaking morons. And I want to know who's doing this, because this is not being done by I assure you, this is somebody associated with the 2025 project. This is somebody outside the government that is doing searches based on certain criteria. They're putting in, does it say gay? They're just morons. They're morons. They are. And it starts at the top, folks. We talked about Trump's address and his attack on transgender folks. And last week he had one example. We're going to have one more example. You remember he talked about the transgender athlete that beat the woman's record by 5 hours by 5 hours. Would you believe he got that wrong? Would you believe he got that wrong? This is who he was talking about. People absolutely knew right away. This is Austin Killips. And she actually did set a record in an 800-mile, they call it a backpacking bike race. It's called the AZT 800, the Arizona Trail 800. Here's the problem. Austin Killips, yeah, she beat the record by 5 hours plus. She did. And this is the woman whose record she beat. Oh, wait a minute. That's not a woman. No. No. That's Alex Schultz. See, the AZT 800 is a co-ed race. You race against yourself. It's a time trial. It's an 800-mile race that takes like 9 days to complete. Well, it used to take 9 days. But Austin Killips and her record that she set at 8 days, 23 hours, and 27 minutes, which she beat the previous course record by 5 hours and 14 minutes that was held by Alex Schultz. Well, her record didn't last very long because here comes, ta-da! This is Justina Slavica. And he beat Austin Killips' record by more than a day. Of course, Trump didn't tell you that some guy came along and beat her record, because then it would have blown his whole lie about how she was competing against women and just it was unfair. And this, no, it's a co-ed race. It's a co-ed race. And Justina here beat Austin Killips' record by more than 24 hours. It was by 27 hours and change. He completed an 800-mile race in 7 days, 19 hours, and 45 minutes. This is the race course. It's from the border of Mexico and Arizona to the border of Utah. 800 miles. And just to be clear, this is from the Arizona Trails website where they talk about the race. For those they had to actually answer this because they got so many negative inquiries over Donald Trump's lie, just bold-faced lie. They actually had to put a whole response out, and this is a section of it for this is entitled "What the Arizona Trail Race Actually Is." Here, I'll share it with you. For those unfamiliar with the Arizona Trail Race, it's the AZTR, or the AZT 800, is an official self-supported bikepacking event where riders tackle 800 miles of some of the toughest terrain in the country. It's not a sanctioned race, meaning there are no cash prizes. There are no official governing body and no gender-based restrictions on participation. And the record he was talking about was a course record, not a woman's record, a course record. So why did he lie? Because the narrative doesn't fly if you just tell the truth. It's the same thing with abortion. All they do is lie. All they do is lie. And it just keeps getting worse, folks. This is Cancer Alley. We've heard about how they've cut off cancer research. This is Cancer Alley, folks. It's in Louisiana. It's the stretch of the Mississippi River from Baton Rouge to New Orleans. It is a cancer hotspot, to say the least. This is Lake Pontchartrain right here. This is New Orleans. This is Baton Rouge. This whole stretch of the river. It's called Cancer Alley. Why is it Cancer Alley? Because it's highly industrialized. Highly industrialized. The Biden administration took a look at this. It was brought to their attention, and they said, well, look, we got to clean this up. We got to work to clean this up. We know it's why it's a cancer cluster. It's because chemical spills. It's an industrial area. It's going to have chemical spills. So they started cracking down. And folks, you know me, I am not a fearmonger. I don't over exaggerate things. So let me stick with me when I explain this. I'm going to explain this company that's in the middle of what I'm about to tell you about is not evil. Stick with me to the end. Okay. Stick with me to the end. But this just happened. Trump administration to drop lawsuit against Louisiana petrochemical plant, AP says. And it's just one of many. They are not going to do oversight anymore. They're not going to do environmental enforcement. They're just not going to. They just stopped when this was done. This was done, folks. They just said, nah, not going to do it. Let me explain. It happened in LaPlace, Louisiana. This is LaPlace, Louisiana, with a company called Dinka. One second. It's Dinka Performance Elastomer. And I'm going to tell you, this company is not evil. They are not. They are not. This is New Orleans. This is Baton Rouge up here. Let me zoom in, give you a better look. We start up here in Baton Rouge, follow the Mississippi down. This entire stretch of the Mississippi is highly industrialized. And when you get to a little town called LaPlace, you find Dinka Performance Elastomers between Reserve and LaPlace, Louisiana, just outside New Orleans. What happened there? An accident. An accident happened. And I mean literally an accident. Stick with me. I'm not going to vilify people that shouldn't be vilified. This happened. There's a chemical used. They make the same material that's used in wetsuits, that's used in hip waders, stuff that you want. They make the material. It's a manufacturing facility for material. They had a leak. And the reason they had a leak was an employee opened the wrong valve. And one of the chemicals they use in the manufacturing process spilled because there was no loading tank hooked up. They opened the wrong valve. But this company, like I said, I'm going to tell you, they were not evil. They had the pits already dug. They were in compliance. When this spill happened, it was contained. They immediately responded through the plastic tarps over it. They did everything that they were supposed to do. They did everything that they were supposed to do. One second. The chemical is called chloroprene. And it causes cancer. It causes cancer. It's not by design what it does. It's not designed what it does, but it's part of manufacturing neoprene. Now, again, I will stress to you, you want neoprene. It's in car seat covers, wetsuits, gym mats. We use neoprene everywhere. And again, this company didn't just say, hey, I've got some chloroprene laying here that I want to get rid of. Let me just dump it in the river. That's not what happened. They contained the spill, and this was a product that they wanted. They needed it for they paid for this. They needed it for the manufacturing process. So this was a loss to them. Okay? But they created a business situation that would allow an employee to make that mistake. An employee was able to just open the wrong valve. And about 650 pounds of this, they know by science, folks. They know. They just know. By the ambient temperature, the temperature of the ground, the flash point of chloroprene, they know how much of this chemical escaped into the air. It was about 650 pounds escaped into the air. 500 feet from a school. There's a school literally right next to this plant. 500 feet away. So what did the EPA do? The EPA said, we're going to fine you. Now, so that you understand, now that you understand that, no, I'm not muted. Now that you understand we're serious, we're going to file a lawsuit, but we're going to work with you. This is what the EPA does, folks. This is how it works. The EPA will file the lawsuit and say, we mean business. You don't comply, we're going to hurt you. We're going to hurt you in court. So comply. And what normally happens is the company will say, look, this was an accident. We didn't mean it to happen. We will agree to come up with procedures and safeguards to make sure it doesn't happen again. And when they do that, the EPA will drop the suit eventually, slap a little fine on them to make them pay for the, there's going to be damage down the road. This does cause cancer. This is a problem. They cleaned up the mess, but the damage is done. So they will give them a little fine to help them. We're going to have to pay for it in the future. Children develop cancer. We're going to have to pay for it. So they're going to have to kick in with a fine, but it will not be a severe fine if they work with the EPA to make sure this shit don't happen again. Well, Donald Trump's not going to do that anymore. He's just said, nope, lawsuit gone. Do what you want. Dump what you want. Don't matter if they get cancer there. Mostly black people live there anyways. That's really happening right now, today. Right now, today. That is really, really happening, folks. We have got to put Democrats back in power. We do. They're the only way we can stop this damage. We're moving backwards. That's, elections have consequences. Those are the consequences. And again, it's not just that. It's one thing after another. We just had this happen. Donald Trump just signed an executive order to create a crypto reserve. Now I know you're probably going to have the exact same feeling that I did when I first heard this. Jesus Christ, they're going to be spending our tax dollars on frickin' crypto for a crypto pump and dump, crypto grift. Fortunately, it is more Donald Trump bullshit at this point. It is just made up crap. Fortunately, that was David Sachs, by the way, with him, part of the South African PayPal tech bro mafia. He was saying, oh, well, Donald Trump just created digital Fort Knox. Spicy Jester, thank you for the support. It's unbelievable how we're literally erasing history for anything that is not conservative, white, and male. As a white male, I'm disgusted. Hate is the product of weak-minded individuals who don't love themselves. Amen, brother. I could not have said it better myself. Amen. Well said. Your head's gonna explode here in a minute on the next thing we talk about. So yeah, the crypto bros are pissed, and Bitcoin took a dive yesterday when everybody realized what he did. He didn't do shit. He didn't do shit. David Sachs is out there saying, well, he just created digital Fort Knox, and folks that actually work in the crypto industry, which I do not support. Rachel Maddow last night, if you haven't, go back and stream her show from last night while you still can. She did an amazing job explaining crypto. Incredible job. Compared it to Beanie Babies. Spot on. Spot on. I don't support crypto. I never will. But no, what he did was crypto that was seized in either government lawsuits or law enforcement actions, he just renamed it. He just renamed it. That's our new crypto reserve. He didn't do anything. It's like he took the Department of Digital Infrastructure and renamed it Doge. He didn't do anything. But here's the corporate media talking about, oh, Donald Trump's creating digital Fort Knox, and this is game changing. And this is, no, it's not. It's crap. It's pump and dump is all it was intended to be. And folks that are actually invested in this were like, this is nothing. And Bitcoin just, if this is what we can see out of them, all our hype was for nothing. But as far as crypto goes, it just, with Donald Trump, it just keeps getting worse. This is Justin's son. There's a tactic. Whenever there's a new crypto coin or a meme coin or something coming out, it's called washing. And what they do is if somebody that's invested in this will take and buy and sell a coin at incredibly high rates of speed. They'll sell them and buy them, 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 sell them and buy them. Why? Because it drives them up on the indexes and makes it appear as though there's interest in this coin. It's a crime. It is. And the Securities and Exchange Commission was prosecuting. They were going after Justin's son for this. Then Donald Trump decides he wants a meme coin. Who makes that happen? Justin's son. And then Justin's son, and it turns out it's a complete rug pull, which is another term that they use in the crypto industry for a overhyped coin that has no value, that immediately loses value, just like Donald Trump's coin did. But guess who bought $75 million worth? $75 million worth of Donald Trump's coin, which puts about $56 million directly into Donald Trump's family's pocket. Now, did you hear me? Justin's son buys $75 million worth of Donald Trump's meme coin. That puts $56 million in Donald Trump's pocket, in his family's pocket. And then Donald Trump and the SEC dropped the charges against Justin Sun. Who is going to enforce it, Star Lurker? If we don't put Democrats back in power, who is going to enforce it? Because Republicans won't even talk about it. And they did it in the light of day. They didn't even hide it. Meanwhile, Trump goes out. You saw him start an unnecessary trade war. What would be worse than starting an unnecessary trade war? You folks are smart. What would be worse than starting an unnecessary trade war with people that are your allies? What would be worse than that? How about losing that trade war overnight? Folks, your responses are having an effect. There will be elections because they know the way, by the way they're reacting to this. Donald Trump has once again completely folded like a house of cards, making us look incredibly weak, creating instability, uncertainty in the markets. He is rolling back the tariffs that he just put on 2 days ago. Not all of them, part of them. So we get all the economic negative effects of a tariff still in place on certain goods. We get the responses from our allies who are now pissed as hell at us. But then he folds because Johnny Gotrocks, the Republican donor, said, you're hurting me with that. You need to cut that shit out. And their popularity, this is the shortest honeymoon period for any elected president. Ever. Ever. Donald Trump's numbers are in the toilet. They're beyond the toilet. They're in the sewer now. So what did he do? Tries to undo everything he just did. Chaos, weakness, stupidity. Beavis and Butthead are running everything. They're running everything, and they have no clue what to do. They have no clue what to do. And they're just getting destroyed. You know, after the election, I put a comment out on Blue Sky and Threads that went viral. And it was really simple. All it said was, what this election tells me is that Republicans don't give a shit about their wives or daughters or women in their life. They don't give a shit about them. That went absolutely viral. When it did, this guy was a Republican. I mean, the Republicans just lost their minds. It didn't go viral just because Democrats like that. Everybody was as sad and demolished as I was at that point. It was the Republicans that made it go viral because they lost their ever-loving minds at somebody calling them out that they don't give a shit about their wives and daughters. They don't. That's what this election said. They're a bunch of misogynist assholes. And this guy actually threatened me to a fist fight. This is Scott Ritter. But I'll tell you, I actually like this picture of Scott Ritter better. That's Scott Ritter, former weapons inspector, disgraced. He thought he was texting on video chat with a minor, an underage girl. So he jerked himself off with what he thought it was an underage girl. Turned out to be a cop. And yes, he's absolutely a Russian asset now. He is 100%. He goes to Russia all the time. He is 100% constantly. People like that pedophile in the right-wing sphere because he repeats Russian talking points so people promote what he says. He's fucking gross. He's gross. And yeah, he got convicted. This isn't a matter of me calling him names or anything like that. He was convicted. Former United Nations weapons inspector convicted in online sexting has been sentenced to up to 5.5 years behind bars. Scott Ritter, 50 of Delmar, New York, exchanged explicit messages with a detective posing as a 15-year-old girl, then performed a sex act on himself in front of a webcam. He testified in his own defense that he believed that the person he met in a Yahoo chat room in 2009 was an adult acting out their own fantasy. Right. Because that's what they do. They go look for underage girls that are not really underage girls. They're really adults pretending to be underage girls, and that's their kink. No. Man, you're just fucking gross, dude. You're just gross. And yeah, he ended up getting sentenced to 1.5 to 5.5. But my point is, that's who Republicans are. That's why that went so viral. Because they're freaking gross people. They're disgusting people. It made them lose their freaking minds. They're such misogynists and such gross-ass people getting called out for being misogynists and not giving a shit about their wives and daughters really hit home with them. It really did. And if you want proof that they are really freaking gross misogynists, look at what happened yesterday and the day before. Now, I told you, the 2025 project was designed to make us have to sue. That takes time. Well, the USAID lawsuit got to the Supreme Court, and they lost. And I told you, they're going to lose. They're going to continue to lose. And MAGA is losing their minds because Amy Coney Barrett sided with the liberals and said, no, you can't do what you just did at USAID. If people performed a job and had a contract, you have to pay those contracts. I mean, that's the most Donald Trump thing ever, right? Somebody does a job, fulfills a contract, then not pay them. It was over $2 billion worth of unpaid contracts that people fulfilled, that Donald Trump wanted to screw people on. And Amy Coney Barrett did the unthinkable thing of saying, no, you can't do that. That's against the law. So, oh my God, they are just being the grossest. The right wing, the maggots, they're calling her Amy Coney Barrett. You've got the corporate media putting out articles like this. Was Amy Coney Barrett Trump's biggest mistake? And they're being gross. They're being really gross about it. Not just things like Amy Coney Barrett. They're really going after her as a woman. Now, that in of itself is enough proof that they are, yes, they're calling her a DEI hire, and exactly. But they're just really just getting very base, very gross. You want proof of how weak and pitiful these MAGA men are? You know who they're not going after? The other conservative justice that voted with the liberals. Now, I wonder why, what's different about this one that they're not attacking him for voting the same way as Amy Coney Barrett. Yeah, Chief Justice John Roberts also said, no, Donald Trump, you can't do what you always do and just not pay people. Bingo. 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 These weak, I mean, think about how weak you have to be. I will tell anybody, I don't give a damn. I don't give a damn who you are. I will tell you what I think about you. Imagine how weak you have to be to attack Amy Coney Barrett, but not John Roberts. It's just testimony to who these people are. They're just gross, weak, women-hating. They don't love their wives. They don't love their daughters. They don't give a damn about them. They're freaking gross. They're gross. Brian Peacha, thanks for being here, bud. Did you get my email response, my friend? That was a great question, by the way. Thanks for the information on boycotts and how they succeeded. Oh, yeah, you did. You answered my question right there. Sorry, I should have read this first. Thanks, Brian. I appreciate it. But yeah, folks, this is who they are. They cannot govern because they're idiots. They cannot govern. The 2025 project has nothing in it about governing. Nothing. It's all about destruction of the government. All of it. It's about destruction of the government. That's all Republicans are. So yeah, it is. I will admit, I will tell you something. You know me, I will carry water for the Democrats. I'm the founder of the Ride or Die Democrats. I will preach Democrats all day long because I know there's two parties. These things are not the same. There's a path forward with one party and not a path forward with the other. I will preach Democrats all day long, but I acknowledge it's maddening right now. People want people screaming from the rafters. They want to see, they do. And the Democrats, wisely so, are following the advice of Sun Tzu. In this situation, just hand them rope. They will hang themselves. They have been. No one that wrote the 2025 project ever understood people. They thought that we were going to go, what their delusions are about us. In their minds, we burned Portland to the ground. They really believed that. So they thought our response to the 2025 project would be to get out there, raise hell, burn things, burn cars, destroy businesses, and all the fantasy land shit that they've got in their heads. They thought that was going to be our reaction. And they planned poorly. Because now they have the situation where they don't have Democrats. Democrats, when your enemy is making a mistake, don't interrupt him. They are sticking to that game plan. They're not giving the corporate media. Think about it, folks. That horrible speech by Trump and all the horrible things in it, how much of the oxygen got with the corporate media talking about Al Green? It was about 70-30. About 30% talking about Al Green and the Democrats. They desperately want a negative narrative to push about Democrats, and Democrats aren't handing it to them. They're not. They're forcing the corporate media to do what they don't want to do. You did this to have chaos to report on. Go report the freaking chaos. Because chaos it is. We can't impeach Donald Trump. We don't have the votes. So we're not going to talk about it. This is what we have to learn. I've seen this comment a couple times. This right here. And Democrats, the Republicans sort of did the same thing with their people that weren't with them 100% of the time. But what they didn't do is they didn't say Republicans are bad because of these 10 people. Way too many people are putting the message out there, not that they're mad at, hey, I don't like this vote, and I'm going to let you know. They're saying Democrats are bad because these 10 people. Well, what about the other 200 plus that didn't do that? Make sure you don't throw the baby out with the bathwater is what I'm saying. That's all I'm saying. I understand being pissed about that. I do. I understand being pissed about John Fetterman when he says stupid shit. Don't throw the baby out with the bathwater. And don't make it your sole focus to teach the Democrats a lesson, because we've got bigger fights on our hands. We do. Midterms are coming, baby. We've got elections coming up on April 1st. And again, you want to make a huge difference? Show up on April 1st, because I promise you, that is one of the lowest turnout elections. Special elections, Harry Dunn was damn right about that. Special elections are one of the lowest turnout elections there is. So your vote makes a huge difference. Huge. You want to make it different? Do it. Do it. Get involved. Well, folks, that's what I've got for you today. I want to thank Harry Dunn again for being here. Love talking to him. Open invitation whenever you'd like to come back. You're always welcome. Appreciate you being here. Folks, get in touch with the local Democratic Party. Do it. Get involved. Get involved. And enjoy some Texas cities at night.